What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode 14 of Real Fans FC. And it's me and Adam today. Adam, how you feeling? How you
Feeling
feeling?
good.
We've gone a couple weeks, but we are back and we are ready to talk some footy. There's a lot of things going on that we have to catch up on. But yeah, so I do want to start it off. I thought this was probably the most interesting topic of the week and had a lot of people, especially in the American soccer landscape, talking about. And this has been something that's been teased for a little bit, but now it seems like there's going to be some like actual potential progress made towards it. And is that the USL is highly considering adding promotion relegation to their system, which would make it the first of its kind of pro rel in the United States. It's not going to be a true open system like what we see around the world. It's just going to be a system within the USL. And for people who don't follow the USL, everybody there's the USL Championship, USL League One, and then the USL League Two. And then they're talking about adding a no, actually, no, there is no USL League Two. They're talking about adding a third league to have a full three-tiered pyramid. But before we get into like the article, I do just want to get your general thoughts, Adam, kind of like what like like before like really diving deep into it, like what's like off the cuff first impressions? Like, do you buy this? So, and also this is going to be a vote that the board of USL is going to have in August to determine if they want to go forward with doing it. So it's not 100% going to happen. This is being held up for a vote in August to consider this happening as soon as the 2024 season, I believe.
So what I think is this is USL trying to compete or at least um draw eyes to itself rather than the MLS. That's what I think it's going to do. I think people are going to be interested and I think they know that. It's something that's going to get people talking and that's their goal. If their biggest competitor is the MLS, then that it makes sense that that's what they're trying to do is they're trying to compete. That's what I see it as.
So I do want to go a little bit deeper on this. So it says here the upcoming vote accumulates work that's publicly began in earnest at the USL's 2021 mid-year meeting, when the organization formally proposed working towards incorporating a promotion relegation system between its second division USL Championship and the third division USL League One. A move to an open system, it's not an open system, but I get what they're saying, is seen by those in favor as a way to boost interest, sustainability, growth potential in the lower division landscape of American soccer, giving the formats increased stakes at both ends of the table. And then this is a quote: "Is if you if you somehow think continuing on our current trajectory will make us competitive and where we all want to be, you're fooling yourself." One
I
USL
agree.
owner told The Athletic.
I
The
agree.
reality is MLS will destroy USL long term on our current trajectory. But if USL
Again, I
successfully
agree.
adopts Pro Rel and can't and can get Division One sanctioning, not going to happen. No way in hell they're ever getting to Division One sanctioning. For the top level, it will be transformed. The USL was founded in 1886, established second division sanctioning in 2011, third division of League One in 2019. Although previously included MLS affiliate clubs and among its ranks for nearly a decade, 2023 marks the first year without any MLS two teams or formal relation of any kind with the US and Canada's first division men's league. So I want to kind of get my thoughts real quick. I completely agree with this owner. At
Me
the end of
too.
the day, MLS is big dog. MLS is growing exponentially.
hmm I mean,
People
come on
love
now. They
top
got to make,
division.
and I hate to interrupt, but they got to make a move now because of Messi, right? I mean, they got people who are going to
And
watch
I think this is
American
what
soccer.
sparked this.
Probably, it's something that had to have been talked about in previously. But yeah, like it's just with what's going on with the MLS. I I mean, that owner is absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, Look, we've been saying since the Messi announcement how much this does for the MLS and how we all firmly believe by wintertime there's going to be a massive change in roster rules. The only thing that has kept the USL somewhat competitive to the MLS has been the fact of roster rules. We see it in US Open Cup all the time. These USL teams are going up against essentially homegrown veterans who couldn't quite make it, MLS journeymen, and who aren't starting regularly in the US Open Cup. And even then, most of the time, those guys lose. So now seeing with the Messi coming over here, all the eyeballs in MLS, the amount of money they're about to make, and the potential roster rules restructured by the end of the season, USL is now telling itself, look, and they're completely right. At this current trajectory, we have to do something different because at the end of the day, here in America, as sports fans, they always want to see the best product. I mean, it's the reason why we have Euro snobs here in America. It's a weird issue that we have here in this country where people feel the need to have to watch the best players ever because you're so used to having the best basketball league, the best baseball league, the best hockey league. Well, football's only played here, but you get the point. Versus soccer is the only sport where it's like we're not really the best at. So naturally, being in that culture, you breed a lot of Euro snobs who only watch European soccer. Say it's the best thing in the world. They want to watch the best players. So weird because you don't really have that issue in other places. Like people in South America, let's say the Peruvian league, for example, they don't care that they're not the best league in the world, but they'll still watch it and have amazing fandom for it. It's just a weird issue we have here due to all of our other cultural things we have. But I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
completely right. It will never at the current rate that it's doing, which is basically essentially replicating the MLS. It will never be the MLS at the end of the day. MLS has all the major markets. Anytime a new market MLS spawns into a new market, that USL team that was there usually dies. We see it with Miami FC, even though Miami FC never really had fandom in the first place. We saw it with Atlanta with the Silverbacks. Minnesota United moved up from second division to MLS. Same thing with Vancouver. And we're probably going to see it with San Diego. The San Diego Loyal is probably going to wither away and go out of business once the new MLS San Diego team comes in. So USL is like, look, we have to do something that separates ourselves. And I think USL, I mean, I don't know how many of the owners are super invested in it, but it seems like there is some that are willing to, you know, do something, which like I said, like we both agree, they have to. They have to do something different, something
yeah,
that changes the game because at the end of the day, you're never gonna. I think MLS is too far ahead. This dream of them being Division One sanctioned is just not going to happen. Especially as long as Don Garber's on the board of the U.S. Soccer Federation, he's never going to let USL become Division One sanctioned. So, but I do think it's an awesome step, and I do think it's going to be. It's the closest thing we're going to get to pro rel in this country. We will never, and I've always said this, at least for MLS, I don't think I firmly believe MLS will never adopt a pro rail system until this country can prove that it can teams can sustain itself as not being in the flagship division of the first one
yeah,
because the sport is just not there yet. It's just not like you if your team gets relegated and I would imagine a lot of markets people would just stop going. Like there's just not that built-in like fandom. And until they can prove otherwise, and this is what I think the USL is going to be kind of that guinea pig of like, let's see what we can do. And it's going to have to be in a closed system at the end of the day. It will always be in a closed system. We will never have a true open system. And I think, honestly, for the league to be sustainable, if you're going to implement pro rel, it has to be a closed system like the USL is doing. And who knows? Maybe if it is immensely successful, MLS is very good at adapting and seeing what works and trying to do it. So if they see the USL succeeding in this, who knows? Maybe a partnership, maybe a MLS buyout, maybe MLS expands enough to where they start to include their own, have an MLS one and an MLS two. Also, it's the only way I think you get owners on board of even wanting to even risk their money like that. But yeah, I don't. I mean, it's gonna be super interesting. I'm really curious to see what happens in August. I think they're gonna go through with it. Do you think it's gonna go through from all the
I
USL
don't think they
owners?
have a choice. I think they got to do something. I think they kind of see the writing on the wall. Um, is it going to be unanimous? I don't think so. I think there's still some owners out there who probably are like, what the, I don't want to deal with that. But I think the majority who, the smart businessmen of the bunch are going to see the writing on the wall for this one.
Yeah, and I think too, like pre-show, me and Adam were talking about Indy 11 and how they're building a new stadium in a complex whole district. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it's the Indianapolis owners. I mean, there's a few ownership groups in the USL that are seriously investing money, building own stadiums, having strong academies and shipping players overseas. Louisville is one of those. Sacramento Republic, Indy 11, San Diego Loyal. Like these are teams that are actually kind of like doing really well, and I think it's gonna be more than pro rel. I think you're gonna have to have more owners that are going to wanna invest more than just the fact of fielding a team and leasing out whatever venue. I think you're going to have more teams like Indy 11, like Sacramento, like Louisville, who are going to wanna invest, create their own stadiums, build academies, and that comes down to them just vetting the owners. I mean, like realistically, if you want to succeed in the second division, I think just the simple fact of like having the infrastructure makes things feel more real too. It makes things feel less second class because like I think as a fan, if you're a fan in a city with a USL team and that USL team plays in a like a minor league baseball field, you'll just always think of it as like second class, kind of like whatever. I won't watch it. But if your team like Louisville or like Indy 11 or like any other market that or Detroit that doesn't really have
Yeah,
another soccer
yeah,
team,
even
and then you have
Detroit.
a legitimate infrastructure and facility, people are gonna be like, oh, like this is like kind of even if you're new to the sport, people are gonna be like, oh, this is kind of like legit. Like this is a team. This is a team that's gonna stick around. And even if whatever happens, like this is a team that's going to stay here. They're built for the future, you know? So I think it has to be more than just the promotion relegation. I think you got to, in a way, you have to replicate MLS in the sense, which what MLS did. You have to have a stadium. You have to build an academy. You have to have a training facility. You know, you have to do these things. It's just a matter of if you're going to get those owners to do that. Um, and obviously, they're still going to keep on doing franchise fees to get into the system because, like I said, it's not going to be a true open system. It's going to do a franchise fees. But I am curious if they do adopt this, how do they handle the regional aspect of it? Like, because obviously this isn't fucking England. I mean, Florida's the size of fucking England. So like how do you manage promotion relegation in the USL, especially for teams that aren't even as profitable as the MLS? How do you manage that travel? How do you relegate people based on are you always just going to kind of restructure the conferences constantly? I don't know. Is there any questions you have to like if it like I guess your doubts or if they were to implement it, what would be your biggest, like, issues with it or that they would have to fix, you think?
Um, I would like to see them also work towards some sort of TV deal. It's one thing to have pro rel, but you gotta have a way for people to watch it. I don't think USL is very easy to watch right
Yeah,
now.
everything I believe they have a deal with ESPN. Everything is ESPN Plus currently.
Yeah, it's like they should get some games on TV,
You know,
somehow.
I do remember I don't know how often they do it, but I do remember last year at least. I don't know about this year. Last year in the middle of summer, they did have a game on ESPN2, like, local television. But, yeah, they do have ESPN Plus, and we saw how well that worked out for MLS. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like you said, I mean, the it's tough because it's only so much their budget can take them, and, ESPN knows they won't pay shit for fucking soccer. I don't even know if necessarily ESPN would be the best remove for them, but I don't know how long they're gonna be involved in that. I would like to see them go to, like, a platform that really invests in it, like, maybe like a Paramount Plus or, um,
Yeah,
something of that nature.
something like that. Yeah, I could see that.
Because it seems like the only soccer ESPN really cares about is La Liga and Bundesliga, and really even then, I think they only really care about La Liga. But, I mean, what else you think?
Uh, yeah, that's really all I got on that one. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I think it's something they need to do. Um, because I don't know how many, like, let's just say, for example, they are the owner that, had that quote, he's right and it's not going to survive like this. How many years do you see it before it turns into another NASL if they really can't survive, financially?
Yeah, I mean, actually, here's another part. It's like, it could also be at odds with USL's increased focus on developing and selling young players. If clubs have further incentives to prioritize winning over all else, in recent years, USL have been sold to international clubs like Real Sociedad, Benfica, and Reims. However, one ownership source believes it would increase the value of potential TV contracts as well as sports betting interest, which could add revenue. Another speculated that casual fans of the sport would rather have another incentive to begin following the USFL. Oh my God, USFL, USL, if teams could rise and fall among the leagues, among among fall among the leagues for greater entertainment intrigue. Promotion relegation is truly one of the best constructs in pro sports, full stop, said one owner. I believe it would take the USL to a completely new level. Yeah. I mean, overall, I mean, I think we all like to see this, but do you think it would work? Like they implement this, let's say 2025 with the current structure, with
I think
teams that
it'll
they have
help. I
now.
don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna solve what. I don't think it's gonna be the magic bullet that they think it is. Um, that's what I would think.
I agree. I think it helps. But I think USL has bigger issues, and I think one of them is infrastructure. I and revenue. I think that's really going to be the big issue. Like at the end of the day, I mean, think about how much we fucking roast NYFC for playing in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about I don't know how many teams playing a minor league stadium in USL, but I would imagine it's got to be like 10 or at least shitty turf fields. Like that's a big contention that people are having with MLS right now. And it's a one reason why people like Don Garber said that he hates the US Open Cup because of the fact that these teams have to play in these terrible environments. And I just see I don't know, man. I feel like people would have a hard time, and I agree with you. I think it's
I don't know,
definitely
that's
not the
part of the
magic
cup.
bullet.
I mean, I agree some of the environments are shitty to play, but I mean, look at some of the teams like, let's say you're a Premier League team and you get drawn against like some League Two team. You don't think that's a little substandard for them? I'm
Yeah, but
just
at
saying
least
it's a
that
little it's
League
a
Two
that's
team
part
is
but I'm
a
just saying it's part of the competition. I mean, I get saying, "Oh my God, what the hell are we playing in?" But like a little bit of it is definitely part of that of the competition. So I think that's,
yeah, but I would say a League Two team. At least they have a proper stadium with a proper field. And I think that's the biggest issue. And I think that's ultimately what's going to turn off, I think, a lot of, like I said, MLS is having this issue now where teams refuse to take out turf. And that's going to be a serious issue in the I keep on wanting to say USFL, the USL. Um, I, I think it's just always be second class. I mean, I think you're just going to have to get big owners. I think a lot of the owners in USL, there's some that are ambitious, but I can just imagine that there's some that just have it to fucking have it, and they just put in enough money to field in a team and get a tax write off. That's what I'm afraid of when it comes to USL. But anyways, we can move on to the next topic, and we could talk about I think to me, one of the I guess one of the biggest transfers in the MLS outside of Messi, and that is Chicho Arango coming back to the MLS after having an incredible year with the LA Galaxy last year. One of the big reasons why LA were as good as they were and won the championship and went on a run, it wasn't Gareth Bale, it was Chicho Arango. He was the big money pusher, scored tons of goals. And then when it came to the wintertime, he wanted DP money. LA didn't want to give him DP money. LA wanted to keep him on TAM. So they resulted to just transferring him out to Mexico at Pachuca. And now we're seeing pretty much LAFC, as good as they've been all year. One of the big issues that we can say, even though um, they've been kind of having a rotating cast at the number 9 position, and they've been doing decently well with that, especially with Bouanga being a really strong scorer from the wing. They've been able kind of to hide the fact that, they have striker issues at the end of the day. They don't have a big money striker at top. And a lot of LA fans were upset that they didn't sign Chicho Arango. This is a guy who's proven who can score in this league, but they just didn't want to pay him the money, even though they have an open DP spot. And I think one of the reasons for that was because at the end of the day, it is LA and they know that draw they have. I mean, they were able to pull the likes of Kalini and Gareth Bell. And I think they want to be able to do that again, even though I haven't heard anything linked with them this summer. But we could arguably say that's one of the reasons why they ended up choking the CCL final. Was not having as clearly that's somebody they could have had, but he just debuted. That he just had a second game with RSL. RSL paid, I think it is their biggest transfer ever. I believe it was close to 10 million, somewhere around there. And he immediately added a spark to that team. And RSL is a team that's been kind of middle of the pack so far. And adding somebody like him up top to any team, honestly, is going to really add a certain oomph to it. But yeah, he has 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 matches. I'm from the standpoint that I don't know if the LA ownership regrets it, but I think a lot of fans wish he still had him. But ends up being another man's trash is another man's treasure, and RSL is now benefiting it. And honestly, this is a perfect RSL signing because they don't have that pressure like Miami, like a New York, like a Los Angeles of like, we need to bring in names. It's like that doesn't really matter because realistically, you're never going to get a big name to go to Salt Lake City. So, but yeah, what do you think how he's played so far, and as he
I think
how good of a fit he is in
he's been
RSL?
excellent so far for RSL. I'm actually very impressed by how quickly he's seemed to, have hit his stride. And, I mean, yes, he played in the MLS, but still, it's a new team. He was in Mexico for a little bit. Um, it takes time getting used to your new teammate, especially when you're a striker. Getting that link between your midfielders, your creators, and the strike. Um, but he's already, assisted got a goal and an assist in 2 matches. But in terms of LAFC, my big thing is, I mean, you look at the stats. He's 57 total appearances with LAFC and 35 goals. If you don't think that's a DP amount of money, then I don't know what is. I mean, look at what Miami was giving Campana, and he didn't score fucking that much. Like, not at all. Is your mic muted?
Oh shit, I guess so. Granted, Campana's a lot younger, but yeah, I mean, come on, like that's ridiculous to
But you
me.
see what I'm
It's
saying, though. Like, there's evidence other places where like people see a spark and they're like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna keep him on a DP or whatever, or I'm gonna sign him on a DP. But then you got someone who's provided 35 goals for you. I mean, that's pretty fucking good for MLS. I mean, that's really good.
yeah, I mean, that's very few players that's even scored at that kind of rate.
Yeah,
I
like
mean, and let's
who
be
else?
real,
Joseph Martinez. Like that's the only
Carlos
one that
Vela,
comes to
but
mind.
Carlos
Carlos
Vela
Vela as well.
hasn't. But when
But
was the
he's
last
but
time
he's
Carlos
getting
Vela
older,
scored like that?
and he's
Yeah, I
getting
mean, when
old.
was the
But he's
last
getting
time?
older. and the man is 34 years old. He can't do it forever. I mean, the league is getting better as these players get older as well. So people forget that. I mean, yes, he's a great player, but as these players get older, the league is it's not just that they're getting older, the league's also getting better with these signings that are coming in. So I think you have to be cautious with that. I mean, Vela, he's been playing really good this season. He's what, 4 assists, 7 goals, I think. Um, he's playing good. Um, but you're just gonna have to start thinking that that's not a long-term solution. It's just not. Um, he's
No, yeah,
gonna
you're right
fall
though.
off at some point, with injuries and too, because it's not like a huge issue, but I've heard, things. Um,
I mean, you're right though. MLS, it's hard to have long sustainable career in MLS because of the fact that it's constantly getting better. This
mhm,
isn't like top 5 or South America where it's always just been kind of the same level. Like, yeah, the top 5 leagues are the best leagues, but I don't know if they're necessarily getting better. They're as good as they're gonna get, you know what I mean? Like, so, like, you can have 10 years, I think, in the Premier League more so than having 10 years in MLS because let's face it, 10 years ago in the MLS is drastically different than it is today. Could you imagine, like 2013 MLS to now, like that 10-year difference? Like, the quality and play, like, if you're a player in 2013 MLS, it would be a very hard time. Like, they just wouldn't be good enough to play in current day MLS. So, yeah, I mean, it's as good as Carlos Vela was. I mean, at the end of the day, man, like eventually the league is going to surpass the quality of what he was playing at the level he made that historic season. But RSL right now is in 4th place. So this is also much needed firepower for them. They're only 4 points away from the top seed behind St. Louis. They do they have played one game more, but they're 9, 7, and 7. So with a -1 goal differential. So they're sitting really pretty right now. RSL might be a sneaky team to watch out for in the playoffs because of that fact. It's a team that people tend to forget about, and now you're bringing in probably one of the best strikers in the league added to that team that was already kind of like a decent team
yeah,
and being only 4 points out, and honestly 2 points behind LA because LA's been kind of a not a good skid lately. But I'm glad to see he's finally got a home.
yeah,
I
me
do
too.
want
I think he
to
deserves it.
I do want to see hmm, no, never mind. But
But yeah,
yeah,
that's not
so
that's fine. We can move on. I did want to
yeah,
talk about this.
I was trying to check something, but
That's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Um,
I think he might be the outside of Messi, obviously, I think he might be one of the best signings of the year.
yeah, he's
I
someone
think
I don't think there's
T
many question marks about how he's going to perform, especially after 2 games. I think
yeah.
people think that they can see, um,
My
you
sneaky
know,
signing so far is him. I guess not so sneaky, but I think ones that people aren't really talking about, I think it's gonna be him. Timu Puki, Norwich City striker, longtime Norwich City striker, now going to Minnesota to sit in front of Manuel Reynoso.
it's a big
I
signing
think
for them.
he's gonna be, yeah, I think he's gonna be a sneaky signing and play really well
Yeah, I think so
for
too.
for them. He already scored his first goal, the first link up with Reynoso and him. So I think that's going to be something that can make Minnesota a really strong attacking team. And then if this Nashville signing goes through from the Nottingham Forest striker, what was his name? Man, you know who I'm talking about? It's like Sam
Uh,
something.
no, I do not.
Who's the Nottingham Forest striker for a long time. I think if this goes through, he's going to be a really, really good signing. Sam Surridge, Nottingham Forest striker Sam Surridge, close to signing and joining Nashville FC after clubs agreed to £5 million pound fee. So, 24-year-old had 1 year left on his contract. He was a crowd favorite at Stoke City. Blah blah blah. I was trying to see how many strikes he had, but anyways, regardless, I think those are my 3 like players to watch out for. I think they're gonna do super, super well. But yeah, let's go over to the Gold Cup. So, um, the Gold
Yeah.
Cup has been kind of a shitty addition this year
Yeah, I did wanna
because
talk
of
about it
the. So before
because
we
of
get into
how
the let's say this before we get into like the final.
yeah, I put this in here
Um,
because I wanted basically each of us to just give our before we talk about the final, I think this would be perfect because there's really not much too much to talk about except for I know we're both gonna complain. So, couple minute rant each, and then we can talk about the final.
all right,
But
you go first.
all right, so I just think, first of all, I've been complaining enough about how many competitions they're putting in I mean, the MLS is playing during the Gold Cup. It's just so ridiculous how like the scheduling has gone, and now they've made it so that nobody gives a shit about the Gold Cup anymore. So now you're just watching these B and C teams going up against each other. It's not fun. I mean, you're watching USA. Who do you know on fucking USA? Three people? Like, I mean, I'm sure
I
you know
mean,
more.
they're all just yeah, they're all
I'm
just
just saying
MLS lifers.
that's what yeah, but the point is like everyone else who like only really cares about like and they know like oh Pulisic and Gio Reyna and stuff and whatever. The only people
Mackenzie. Yeah.
McKennie and all of them. Like you're just thinking when you're watching that, you're like, well, I know Matt Turner and I know DeAndre Yedlin, but what the fuck? It's just not. It just seems like a waste. It might as well be it's a friendly that doesn't end in a tie. I just think it's very stupid, and you know we've got a final that kind of shows. So I just think it's been kind of an embarrassment. Not like that horrible, but it's pretty bad. Um, and I just think that this whole federation needs to get their head out of their ass, figure out
Yeah.
figure out what they want to do because right now it's a mess. That's all I'm gonna say. It's just a mess. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, as for the US part of it, yeah, I mean, it was just a shitty call up from the jump. I mean, at the end of the day, all these guys were MLS lifers with no potential to really get better. There's a few guys that, they're still young and you want to get them experience. Obviously, like the guy who people have been talking about the most, Jesus Ferreira, the most talked about guy this Gold Cup, the Pirate of the Caribbean. Um, but I don't understand the thought process of bringing in these guys and fielding a team. If you're going to put out a C team, because I think it's a C team, possibly even a D team, why are you going to put up guys who just have no future on the national team? Like Yedlin, the dude is done. Like he's washed. He's no longer a national team like capable he of that quality. He's not that guy anymore. I think
He's a good
he's
locker
ran
room
himself to the
presence.
ground.
He's a good locker room
But he's
presence.
done. Um, Aaron Long, get that bum out of there. He's no longer good. Like Jordan Morris, he doesn't have it anymore. But I'm not against like fielding some of the guys like a Mihailovic, seeing what he has. Brandon Vasquez, obviously Jesus Ferreira, he's young. A K Cowell, but like all these other guys who are like just MLS lifers who just or guys who just don't have it cut out anymore. Like, why are we calling these guys up? I'd rather you field a U23 team or like some of your stars from the U20 and U23 and see what you got there. Get these guys national team experience, get these guys in a tournament feeling, like see what they got. The U20 World Cup just ended. Let them get some more playing time. Like at the end of the day, these guys aren't really getting much playing time at their clubs. So why not field them and see what you have there? Obviously, I'm not against having Matt Turner there because Matt Turner literally just rides the bench at Arsenal. And if you're a USMNT fan, you hope that he gets loaned somewhere, even though I don't think Arsenal's going to loan him. I think he's truly
No,
Ramsdale's backup.
he's gonna play all the cups. He's gonna play the cup.
Yeah, but it sucks because you saw how well that worked out for Zach Steffen riding the bench at Man City for years, and now he came back and to play with the national team, and he's just like awful because I think a keeper is just
Mhm.
one of those positions where you need reps, and it's tough. And until the U.S. can get a guy who's regularly starting at a top 5 league, I think they're always going to kind of struggle. Honestly, even though Matt Turner has not, he's been playing well. I think he's had an all right to decent um, Gold Cup. But yeah, I mean, the one bright spot to the Gold Cup, and I think the CONCACAF realized what they did here, because this is the one thing I actually can't blame MLS for. This is an international window. So realistically, they're actually playing the Gold Cup during a non sanctioned international window by FIFA. So I'm hoping, and from what I'm hearing, that the next Gold Cup is not going to be at the same time as Nations League final. So I'm hoping that they actually follow through with that, because it does suck to see the Gold Cup really just become a shitty tournament where nobody really cares and they're fielding half-ass teams. And this isn't just USA, it's also Mexico, it's also Canada, it's also Panama, Costa Rica. Like these are even Jamaica pretty much pulled out a full lineup, but it it sucks to see what it's become, and I think now CONCACAF realizes the issues of having back-to-back Gold Cups in the same summer as a Nations League. So from what I'm hearing, or from what I understand, I don't know if it's 100% certain or not, that they're gonna move the CONCACAF Nations League final, the Final Four tournament, in the March window, to then leave the summer window open for the Gold Cup, which
Mhm.
I think is a good idea. I think you have to do that. At the end of the day, I think the Nations League final thing is just stupid. Like, I get having the Nations League, but the whole Final Four thing is just dumb. Why not just give it the guy that's the the country with the most points, just make it like Euro style at that point. Country with the most points wins the trophy. I don't know why you need to have a Final Four. Obviously, it's for money reasons, but if you're going to do it, at least do it in March in an actual sanctioned window, and then in the summer leave it for the Gold Cup. So it seems like they might go that route, because obviously I think they're starting to realize maybe it's not selling as much having these BC teams. People want to see the big stars, especially now that the USA is back in the World Cup and we're about to host things. Um, I think they realize you don't want to see that product again. Like the US team
Yeah.
has looked terrible. And not even just the Mexico team looked awful. No team really looked good. Like everybody just looked bad. There were a bunch of backups who don't really get much playing time or finally getting playing. It looked like a U20 tournament. Like it just looked
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
It didn't look good.
And
And I
that's
think
I think that's a good segue because the final is gonna be Panama versus Mexico, and I just could say this, I don't have a prediction, I don't have any thoughts because I could care less about that final. I really don't give a shit at all. I'm not gonna watch it. I'm probably just gonna see the score after and that's it. I don't care. I really don't. Do you?
I'll probably watch it because I just want to see Mexico lose.
Fair enough.
I personally just want to see another
Can't argue
team
can't argue with that.
another team win it. This is going to be the one chance that you're probably going to have another team win it for a while, because I think the US has just gone so far ahead of everybody else in CONCACAF at this point. Um this is going to be the one chance you can finally see another team win it, and I think they say this is the first time it's not a US Mexico final in 10 years. And if Panama wins, and I don't know if you remember from last week during our trivia question, Panama would be the fourth team in the region to win the Gold Cup. There's only been the two, US and Mexico, and then Canada on one fluky Cinderella run in the year 2000. So don't get me wrong, this would probably be another kind of fluky championship for Panama, but this is the one chance they have to like actually win it. And honestly, it kind of makes me sad that Costa Rica didn't pull out a full lineup, because honestly, if they did, they probably could win this damn thing if they had a good coach, a competent coach, and a full strength lineup. But Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna watch it just to see Mexico lose. I love seeing Mexico lose. I think their fans are fucking scumbags, and I stand by that. Um, and I just want to see a new country win it. Especially this is going to probably be if they end up actually moving the Nations League to March and they leave Gold Cup on an actual international window. I think the federations are going to be more inclined to bring their full strength lineups at the end of the day. And I think US, especially US, Mexico, and Canada, especially since they're going to be hosting, they're not going to have World Cup qualifiers. They're going to need as much
Yeah, they're gonna need
competition as
something.
possible.
Yeah.
They're going to need as much as possible. I mean, that's part of the reason why Copa America is here next summer. So, and then in the 2025 summer, you're going to need something to kind of you're going to need something. So, I think they're going to fill that in with the Gold Cup at some point. So, yeah, I mean, predictions for the final.
Not Mexico. I don't
You
know.
really think Mexico's not going to win?
I don't know. I think they're the favorites, but I just don't want them to win.
Yeah, I think they're going to win, but I would love. I'm rooting for Panama. Let's say that.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's go into our beloved match day predictions that everybody loves that we haven't done in a while. And honestly, thank you for everybody who checks out the match day predictions. I know those are some of our best videos that we put up, and people love it because there's not very many people that follow the MLS like we do and post about it on YouTube and do predictions and stuff. But yeah, let's get into it here. We'll pull it up in a second. But yeah, I think Adam, I don't know how you're feeling about this, but I think we've all been doing I think we all kind of understand who's who, and I think we're gonna start doing better from here on out, honestly. At least I do. I mean, at the end of the day, it is MLS and things get wonky
Yeah.
and there's still salary cap and parity and roster issues and obviously the Gold Cup's still going on. I'm curious. I guess we're going to get a lot of people coming back now that the USA and Canada's knocked out. Um, a lot of the Mexico team plays in Liga MX, and outside of Carrasquilla, who plays at Houston, the Houston star central midfielder, who's Panamanian, he's probably going to be the only like big MLS player that's going to be out of this tournament so far that I can think of. Because Mexico, like I said, is mostly Liga MX, and then outside of Panama, it's really only Carrasquilla. So we're getting everybody's getting their full strength lineups back. So yeah, let's now we can kind of take that into consideration and actually get a probably accurate accurate predictions. But let's get into it. Philadelphia Union versus New York City FC. Philadelphia minus 115, New York City FC plus 290 with a draw being a plus 240. Give me Philadelphia Union right here.
Yeah, I agree. I think Philly's good. I think New York City struggles away from home.
New York City, are they still on that winless streak? Yeah,
I
Adam,
wouldn't be
actually, once you pull
surprised.
up the last 5 games, pull up the, Font Mob table and look at the last 5 games. Actually, you know what? I got it right here. Or do you got it?
I I got it. New York
Alright,
City have a
cool.
draw, win, draw. They
Oh,
like
so
to
they
draw
finally broke that winless
against
streak, but
against
still 1
Montreal.
win. So, yeah, I think we both got Philly here. I think it's the easy pick. Next game, New England Revolution versus DC United. New England Revolution plus 105, DC United plus 210, with a draw being a plus 250. I got New England at home. I think they're just the better team at the top of the East. DC is not that good. I think people have been overhyping what Wayne Rooney's really doing over there. They're still a lackluster team. And honestly, they're probably going to be fighting for the playoff spot, that ninth, eighth seed play-in spot for the rest of the season because I just do not see them going on some sort of run. I think Benteke has been getting a little bit hyped up. I don't think he's been playing that well, like people are making out to be. And Taxi
Yeah,
Fontas, he's a little bitch. So fuck that
he's
guy.
a little racist piece of shit.
But who you got?
I got New England as well, and I'd be more inclined to take maybe a draw if this was at DC, but New England at home on that
What's the
shit
last 5
turf.
for each?
So for New England, They have a win, win, draw, loss, win. DC, on the other hand, have a loss, win, loss, win, draw.
All right. So we have Montreal versus Charlotte FC. Montreal plus 105, Charlotte FC plus 220, with the draw being a plus 240. What's the last five for each?
Charlotte have 5 draws in their last 5.
Holy shit.
Montreal, yeah, Montreal have our win, draw, and then 3 losses. I'm gonna
And
take
so
draw
both
on
coming
this.
off, yeah, both coming off tough stints. I think I'm gonna go draw here as well. I think these are two teams that kind of struggle scoring. I do see that Charlotte's going to bring in some firepower. I don't know if he's going to be playing it this Saturday. Probably not. I think we're not going to start getting a lot more transfers until once we get close to that 25th date. But yeah, I think we both got draw here. So here's a good game, probably the game of the week. FC Cincinnati versus Nashville SC. FC Cincinnati minus 115 versus Nashville SC plus 290, with the draw being a plus 240. Cincinnati's getting Brandon Vasquez back. Um, and Nashville, they had a little bit of a stinker last game. Um, but yeah, give us the results of their last 5 games for both teams.
Nashville have 4 losses and a win. Cincinnati has 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. I got Cincinnati on this one.
Wow, I did not realize Nashville was on that bit of a streak like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna go Cincinnati here, especially Cincinnati at home's been really strong. That atmosphere has been insane for them. I think they've been selling out every single game this season.
Yeah, their
Obviously,
fans are not used to
they,
having this good of a team, so they should enjoy it.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And maybe that's something we could talk about, how Brandon Vasquez, the Cincinnati, pretty much blocked his move to the Bundesliga to continue to finish out the season, essentially, see if they can win it. But yeah, Atlanta United versus Orlando City. Atlanta is minus 105, Orlando City plus 240, with a draw being a plus 260. Give us the last 5 matches for both teams.
All right, let's go for Orlando first because why not? Draw, draw, win, win, loss. Uh,
Okay,
and then Atlanta,
real
on the other
quick,
hand,
when you're saying the last match, is that the most recent match?
correct.
Okay, so when the wins that you're saying first are 5 games ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so
Man,
Orlando's draw, draw, win, win, loss. Atlanta is draw, loss, win, win, loss.
I'm gonna go Atlanta win here. I like Atlanta at home, and I think they're the better team. I feel like Orlando has just really underperformed this season. I mean, a lot of people hyped them up. They have a ton of young talent. I thought they really would have got back in the groove this year. So by halfway point of the season, they kind of have, but they're still just not like as dangerous as people thought they were. And meanwhile, the talent in Atlanta is just really unprecedented right now. And quite honestly, I'm surprised there's been no rumors about Almada yet. Maybe they pretty much closed those doors and saying we're waiting till winter. But
Yeah,
who do you got
maybe
here?
I'm gonna say draw here. I don't know. Orlando just have that weird ability just to get a freaking point out of a game they have no business getting a point out of.
Interesting. All right. Minnesota United versus Los Angeles FC. Minnesota United plus 150, Los Angeles plus 145 is the favorites, the away favorites, with the draw being a plus 250.
Well, shit. So LAFC, their last 5 games are loss, 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 draw, and then a win. Whereas Minnesota have had a loss, draw, win, loss, win.
Yeah.
It's a
LAFC
tough
had
one
a
here.
really
You know what?
strong.
I'm gonna say Minnesota here. I don't know why. I feel it. I feel the Minnesota.
Yeah, LAFC had a really strong showing against St. Louis City. Won a 3-0 had a 3-0 victory. But that was at home. LAFC's always been good at home, but yeah, they just been on a tough I think they're just gassed, man. I think they were
Yeah,
just so front loaded with games. But yeah, Minnesota's on the upward trend. Minnesota has they're at home, and Minnesota's a really strong atmosphere to play at. Emmanuel Reynoso is back and playing really well, and now you got Timu Puki, who's already scored his first goal, and they seem to be combining really well. I'm with you, man. I like Minnesota here, and I honestly like those odds at 150. And I think Minnesota
yeah,
knows they need to win games right now. They're in 10th place just on the outside looking in, but obviously they're kind of at full strength at the moment, and so they need to catch up.
yeah. All right, so we're both in agreement on this one.
All right. Chicago Fire versus Toronto FC. Chicago Fire minus 160, Toronto plus 390, with a draw being a plus 270.
Well, Chicago are actually doing well lately. Win, win, loss, win, win. Whereas Toronto are garbage and they've lost 5 straight. So I'm going to take
Toronto,
Chicago.
man. Yeah, Chicago,
Toronto
they've
actually
been
looking worse
without
than us right now.
yeah, Chicago's been without Shakiri for a while, but now he is back and he is healthy and he's back from international duty. Um, and hit a banger
That's
this
all he
past
does.
Wednesday.
That's his thing.
This past win, if this past Wednesday, it was insane.
He just
But
hits
yeah, Chicago's been
bangers.
on they've been a little bit of a roll. Toronto, meanwhile, just can't dig themselves out of this hole. They just keep on digging deeper and deeper. People are blaming Bernadeschi. People are blaming Insigne. But I have a hard time. Granted, they're not playing super well either, and they're getting frustrated. But it's like, man, look at that team around them. I mean, they're awful. They currently don't have a coach. I and Chicago, like you said, they're on a roll, and they squeezed themselves into that ninth place seed. I got Chicago here at home. I think Toronto, man, until they can prove otherwise, I have a hard time even getting a draw for them.
Hmm.
And you
Yeah.
said Chicago too?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Toronto's been terrible.
All right. Now we got St. Louis versus Inter Miami. St. Louis minus 200. Inter Miami plus 430 with a draw being a plus 330. St. Louis is really strong at home. They've shocked everybody this year. They have not put their foot off the gas. They are still in first place in the standings. Inter Miami, meanwhile, are at the bottom of their standings and is still playing well. This is going to be the final game without Messi and friends and
Yes,
all the
sir.
reinforcements that's here to come. Um,
Well,
man,
Miami have broken their losing ways and they did have a loss and a loss, but then have drawn 3 straight since then.
still winless in 10.
Yep. And then St. Louis lost to Salt Lake, won, won, and won, but then lost to LA. This is actually interesting because the 3 teams that they beat, 2 of them are dog shit and one of them's all right. They beat San Jose, but then they also beat Colorado and Toronto.
Yeah. And you know it's crazy too. St. Louis is doing this without Joao Klaus,
Yeah.
their star DP striker, and they're still performing super well. Inter Miami still fielding out basically an MLS Next Pro team out there. I will say the young guys have been playing well. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if they get a draw, but if I'm a betting man, St. Louis is going to win, especially at home. I got St. Louis.
I'm gonna take a draw here because I don't know the way Inter Miami have been playing. They've been playing a lot better, and I think that in certain games where they've drawn, they probably, if they weren't being so stupid, they could have just held the lead and won. Um, so I think just based alone on St. Louis's and who they beat, I think Miami could get a draw here.
Yeah. I will say here, like for my personal preference, I would bet the draw because honestly, I like that plus 330 and they have been playing better and they've been getting draws against decent teams. But if you just want me to say who's going to win outright, if I was a betting man, I'm going to go St. Louis. But I would also wouldn't. If you guys want to get a little risky, take the draw, but
Mhm.
if you want to play it safe, go with the St. Louis win. Um, Next game, Colorado Rapids versus the Houston Dynamo. Colorado Rapids plus 110, Houston Dynamo plus 210, with the draw being a plus 230. Colorado still one of the worst teams in the league. They actually
Colorado
are about
is
to,
they are the wooden spoon leaders right now.
but Colorado, I don't think they're going to be getting this player soon. But they did just spend the most they've ever spent on transfer fees for a Brazilian striker in the Brazil Serie A. I'm really curious. This is I mean, if you're a Colorado fan, you got to be hyped. When have they ever been linked to having big transfer fees that like are being talked about from the national media, national MLS media? I mean, it's going to be a $5 million transfer fee, which is kind of crazy to even think that's their biggest ever. I mean, 5 million is like fucking nothing nowadays in the MLS, and now they're just now starting to spend that much. But that guy is not becoming this week. So I got Houston away, even though they are the dog. I like the 210. And yeah, I got Houston winning on the road.
Houston, yeah, I agree. I just think Colorado is so bad, so I don't
And what are
know.
their last five? So people know.
All right. Well, for Colorado, we'll start there. Loss, draw, loss, win, draw. Whereas Houston are coming off of a win, loss, loss, draw, and a loss.
Okay. Real
Interesting.
Salt Lake versus New York Red Bulls. Real Salt Lake minus 110. New York Red Bulls plus 260, with the draw being at plus 240. Like I said, Real Salt Lake's on a roll right now. They're pushing up the ladder. They're going for that top spot. They're not too far behind. New York Red Bulls, on the other hand, have been not very good this year. They've been one of the worst teams in the East. I like Real Salt Lake at home. I don't even need to know the last 5 games. I got
But I'll
Real
tell
Salt
you
Lake
them
here.
anyway. I also have Real Salt Lake, but they in their last five, they have a win, a draw, a win, a win, and a draw. And then the New York Red Bulls on a draw, win, loss, win, loss.
All right. Now we got Austin FC versus Sporting Kansas City. Austin FC plus 115, Sporting KC plus 195, with the draw being a plus 240. Look, Austin FC had an atrocious start to the season, but man, they have been on a roll. They've been killing it. They are now back to the top of the West. They are in sixth place currently with 29 points. They're only 9 points away from St. Louis, especially after the rough start that they had. But they've been playing super well. And they're at home. Don't get me wrong. Sporting KC has slowly but surely been going up the ranks and starting to redeem themselves, especially with the likes of Alan Polito playing as well as he is at Sporting KC now that he's healthy. So this could be a sneaky good game, but at the end of the day, I got Austin FC here. I think they're on a roll. They're
Yeah,
rolling right
I
now.
agree. I'm
They're
gonna
they're
take
back to the
Austin as
Austin.
well. Yeah, I'm gonna take
They're back
Austin
to
as
what we
well.
thought they would be.
Yeah, exactly. They've woken up and at home, they've won, drew, won, and lost. But those two games where they drop points both away. Um, so in the last five, they have won all their home games. So yeah, I definitely
And
would take
Sporting
them. And then
KC
KC, they've been struggling a bit. A draw, a loss, a win, a draw, and a draw.
and Sporting KC only has one win away. They are 1-5-6
Yeah,
on their away record.
that's a good point. Yep.
So Portland Timbers versus Columbus Crew. Portland Timbers plus 110. Columbus Crew plus 200, with the draw being a plus 250. I will say I'm a little surprised that the odds makers are giving so much of a lean towards
Yeah,
Portland
because
here.
Portland, they've been, you know what? Even though they have a great fan base and is one of the toughest places to play, they really have been pretty bad this year. There's no way around it. They do not look like a playoff team. They're out. comfortably out of the playoff spots right now. I mean, obviously things can change. Um,
Yeah, they're currently
they don't
12th
have a win.
place,
They
only
don't have a
one
win at
point.
all in their last five. They drew, lost, drew, lost, drew. So if history repeats itself, I think they're gonna lose, and I think they're gonna lose to the Columbus Crew,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
and their home record hasn't even been that strong. They're 4-3-3. Like I said, 12th place out of 14. Meanwhile, Columbus, not the strongest away team either, but they're 2-5-3. So they are capable of pulling points away, and they're just the better team. That
And they
front
have a
is
better
just
they
good.
have a better last five as well. A draw, a win, a win, a draw, and a draw. Um,
So yeah, I
um,
think we both got
yeah,
Columbus here, especially that
definitely.
plus 200 is
Yeah,
not bad. Even
not
the
bad.
draw at a plus 250 is not bad at
Yeah,
all
yeah.
either.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but yeah, I don't know if I
All
don't
right.
I just think it's safe not to pick Portland.
This is another I think a pretty decent game. Vancouver Whitecaps versus LA Galaxy. Vancouver minus 140, LA Galaxy plus 290 with the draw being a plus 300. So LA Galaxy has been as another team that's kind of like they're climbing out of that hole that they dug themselves into. They're starting to play really well. Ricky Pooch has been unbelievable, man.
Yeah,
It's a
I
shame
said this in the very beginning of the season, and if those of you who were around for the very first, couple podcasts would remember, I said that if LA Galaxy were gonna struggle, it wasn't gonna be his fault. If they were gonna succeed, it was definitely gonna be part of him. And that's what's happening right now. They're doing really well in their last five. They have a draw, a draw, a draw, but then a win and a win against two strong teams in LAFC and Philadelphia.
at
Um,
the Rose Bowl.
yeah, the
And that
LAFC was at the
LAFC
Rose Bowl.
performance he had was unreal. Like his quality is really showing.
Yeah, it
You're
was
starting to
it
see
was it was it
why
was
this
very good.
guy.
It was very good.
Yeah,
And
you're
then
starting to see
Vancouver's last five, they have a draw, a win, a loss, and a win. Again, they do have two losses and a draw, but those two wins are against good teams in LAFC and Austin. Um, it is in Vancouver. I, I'm gonna say, oh man, this is a tough one.
LA's away
Uh,
record is 1-5-5.
I'm gonna pick
Vancouver's
draw on
home
this one.
record is 6-2-4.
I'm gonna pick
Um,
draw on
I'm
this one.
I'm with you on this. I'm gonna go with the draw as well. LA knows how to pick up a point away, especially with 5 draws on the season on their away record. I like and with the way they're just playing in general. So yeah, I like the draw here. That plus 300 is looking mighty tasty right now. So yeah, but let's move on. Seattle on the final game of the week, Seattle Sounders versus FC Dallas. Seattle Sounders is minus 160. FC Dallas is plus 390, with the draw being a plus 270. That's mostly because FC Dallas has been kind of barely hanging on in that playoff spot, and they started off pretty strong. Ooh, the lines just moved as we're speaking.
Wow,
Now it's my
that's a first on this podcast. All
so
right, we
now
gotta take it. Yeah, everyone clap it up for that one. That's a first. We've never seen the lines change. I'm actually curious what the fuck just happened. Why did they change the
all right.
lines? What just
So it's currently
All
minus
right.
170. So it's actually even
What
farther an
happened though?
advantage for
So
Seattle
it just went
Sounders.
further in it for Seattle, huh?
Yeah,
I
so
agree with
minus
that. I
170.
agree with that. I
Yeah.
mean, Seattle's in third place. They haven't been playing so
Hold on,
well in their
let me
last
say the
five.
new odds. Hold on. Minus 170 for Seattle, with FC Dallas now being a plus 430, with the draw being a plus 270.
That's really interesting. I mean, yeah, so Seattle, they haven't looked great as of late. A loss, a draw, a win, and then a loss. Uh, and then Dallas, they've actually I think that's what's going to tip the scales here. I think they've looked actually bad. Um, aside from again a win against LAFC. I mean, LAFC, what the hell's going on right now? Jesus Christ, it seems like everyone
Jesus
I'm looking at is
Ferreira
beating
has
them.
been
Um,
hiding. Jesus Ferreira has been hiding all the issues that FC Dallas have. He's been scoring really well, and he's been, like I said, he's been
Yeah, they
hiding a
have
lot.
issues.
I
So let
don't.
me just go into this real quick. They have a loss, a win against LAFC, a loss, and a loss. And they've lost to Portland, DC, and Colorado. That's kind of embarrassing. I mean, come on, guys. Um,
Yeah.
Seattle, on the other
Dallas.
hand, yeah, I mean, loss, draw, win, win, loss.
So outside of so Seattle's also getting their players back with Christian Roldan and Jordan Morris. FC Dallas is getting Jesus Ferreira back. So now that the Gold Cup's over, I'm assuming all these guys are going to play because they played on the weekend, so they have decent amount of rest. Now they're going to have the same amount of rest as if they played in the MLS. So I would imagine that those two guys for Seattle are going to come back, as well as Jesus Ferreira for FC Dallas. But yeah, even without Jordan Morris and Roldan, Seattle's been managing to still win games, and they're at home. FC Dallas have been getting carried by Jesus Herrera, and since he's been gone, they've been losing like crazy. But even then, I don't think he's enough to stop Seattle from the role they've been going on. So I'm going
Yeah,
Seattle here.
same. I had Seattle as well.
And Seattle is 6-3-3 at home,
Yeah.
when FC Dallas is 2-6-3 on the way. So, yeah, and those are our picks of the week. We took a little longer than normal, but I feel like we're adding pretty I feel like we're making a little bit more informed decisions now versus before it
Yeah,
was all
yeah,
rapid fire. I feel like now we're kind of like, okay, here's our last 5 games. Here's their away and home records. Let's kind of like, I want to be a little I want to try to win this shit. See who gets the most
yeah,
wins. And I feel like
yeah,
let's try to give our fans the most information as possible. We're not just spewing things out of our ass.
yeah. So,
Even
we
though it
only
might take a little longer,
yeah, yeah.
we're gonna try to figure this out so
Yeah.
we can do it a little faster.
But now let's move overseas to some big stories. We'll have a couple transfer rumors to talk about. Nothing major. It's just going to take, I'd say we'll just touch on it for a couple minutes and then we'll be done with that. But first, the big international soccer story of the week is the huge revelation and Dele Alli opening up a very 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 chaotic childhood. Um, Abused drugs, was molested, and even sold drugs. Um, Ended up having to go to rehab, had serious issues. Um, so that kind of shocked the football world, and a lot of people were saying, you know what, that kind of explains why he kind of fell off a little bit. Um, Which is tough, you never wanna hear anybody going through that, let alone, professional footballer. I mean, that could really, you know, being a professional athlete is such a, just as much mental as it is physical, so that makes it tough. He claims his passion is back at Everton. He really feels like, he's back to, loving what he does and feels like he's well. So hopefully it goes well for him. But that was a big, big story. I don't think anybody saw this coming. Do you think Dele Alli? You think he's gonna be back? You think he's gonna improve? You think he's gonna actually, get back kind of to his old self now that he's put these issues aside?
No, I mean, yeah, like you said, mental is everything. I mean, that you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're just not there, it's always going to fuck with you. And I mean, it's honestly an insane story. And I mean, did people expect him to kind of open up like that? Like, it seemed like it just kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't sure if like Gary Neville expected like him to talk that much about it. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah,
wild and sad that he had to go through that.
I think everyone was
But
stunned by it. I think it did come out of nowhere, but I think it was important for him.
yeah, I think that's really strong of him to, like, talk about that.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, and
He's
that
only
proof
getting
just for this.
support too.
Yeah,
He's only receiving support and praise.
and just for the fact that he's willing to talk about that to the public and let it be known by millions of people just shows that he has come a long way mentally to talk about it and be okay talking about it. And like that's always a huge step. So I think we could potentially see a better performances by him. I think now like he just came back from loan in Turkey. Um and he's probably going to get some playing time this season. So yeah, I'm really curious. I'm curious to see how well he performs, and I mean, Lord knows Everton needs it.
Mhm, mhm.
So,
Definitely.
um, yeah, I think just a simple fact that someone's willing to talk about what he's been through shows how long he's come mentally, and I think he's ready and refreshed. And who knows? Maybe going away to Turkey kind of helped get him away from that British, like English Premier League spotlight,
I
and
don't know.
kind of
I
like
you know what?
focus on
Uh,
soccer and
eh,
stuff. I don't know.
I
I don't
wouldn't
know.
say
I
that.
think it's
I have a friend who's from Turkey. I would disagree with that. I don't think that's a place you go to
well,
calm down. I think you think the
not
pressure's
calm
off there.
down,
It's
not
bad.
calm down, but I think it's.
It's
I
bad.
mean,
It's rough there. Trust
yeah.
me.
I mean, but was he
It's
even going? Yeah, but what I'm saying is, at the end of the day,
I
you're
know
not
what you're
having
saying.
the
It's the
same. You're
media
not having
thing.
the
It's the
same
media pressure.
attention.
Yeah, it's the same,
Don't
but
get me wrong.
it is rough. I'm
You're
not
having
saying it's
this.
easy. Yeah.
I'm not like. Don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying the Turkish league. Yes, there's
Oh yeah,
pressure
yeah,
there,
yeah.
but it's more on the field versus like we all said. We all know the British media can be fucking scumbags. Like we know that like they're one of the worst out there, and and at the end of the day, it's the Premier League. People are expecting you to perform a certain way.
Yeah.
You go to Turkey, which is a lower level than what you're used to. I'm not saying it's calmer, but it's almost like, you're going down to a level where it's like, all right, let me be the guy. I can be the guy. I can focus on football. I can play really well and kind of get my confidence back up to then go back to the best league in the world, which is the Premier League. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not that there's less pressure in Turkey, but I think going down in quality on the field can help him gain the confidence of like, okay, yeah, I still got this shit. I don't know how well he did in Turkey. I don't know if you have the stats in front of you, but I'm just saying,
I
like,
don't. It's not.
I think going back down to a lower level league and like he's able to like get, get a hold of himself and play well and get that confidence again, then it's like, okay, now let's go back over to where the level I'm supposed to be at, I've been at my whole career, and let's just kind of like reshape, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like having a good summer, like you have a good training camp and now you come back, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those things,
That's what I meant
if he
by
I
that.
hope he performs well. If he does, if he actually, helps Everton and he really starts, performing back to what we remember, I think we will mention it and we will definitely, give him some praise for that. Um, but also, so now on to transfer rumors.
I do want to see how well he did.
Yeah.
So he played 13 games 2022 2023 with 2 goals. So I mean, he didn't play a whole lot. He played 13 games, but
Yeah, he didn't play much and, it wasn't amazing. I think I it was tough. I think that was probably at his worst. So it's tough to judge on that, especially knowing what we
mm.
know now. But
But he's still young enough to, he's
yeah,
27 at the end of the day. So
so
I think
yeah,
he
he
still
shouldn't be
has
in his prime
the.
right now. So if he's, I think he'll be fine. Personally, I think he's gonna do good. Um, but yeah, so now some two big transfers that I want to talk about. One of them are kind of still a rumor. One of them confirmed. Big news for, I guess us as Americans. The Premier League American experiment for Christian Pulisic is officially over. He joins AC Milan permanently. Um, what do you think about this? Do you think this is a step down for him? Do you think that Chelsea was a failure? Um, or do you think this is interesting and this could actually provide him some new opportunities, maybe benefit his play style a little bit more? I think it does benefit his play style a little bit more. I'm not sure how he's going to perform, but I do think it benefits his play style a bit more.
I think Chelsea failed him. A
I
lot
would agree.
of Chelsea. I
I
think a
can't
lot of
exactly
Chelsea.
talk, but as an
Let's just
Arsenal
say
fan,
that
but I kind of agree with that.
Chelsea failed a lot of players.
They failed a lot. I mean, look at
He
Arteta.
wasn't the issue.
There's got to be something that Arteta is looking at Chelsea and going, okay, they don't want Kai Havertz and they don't want Jorginho, so I'm gonna bring him in. And Jorginho actually, in the few games that he played, was pretty good. So it's got it. At that point, you're starting to think, okay, what the fuck is Chelsea doing to these guys? There's no way that he would bring these guys in if he didn't think that, what, it's the environment. That's why that's just the whole situation. Um, so I think any player is it's tough to play for Chelsea. Um, so I'm actually happy for him. I think I think this is better for him, a lot better.
No, yeah. I
Um,
mean, I
I
mean, as like Chelsea was
and
a
AC
shit
Milan's
show.
a big team, you know, Champions League finalist. He's still going to be able to perform. So, uh,
Yeah,
I'm not too worried about it. I think it's going to be fine for him.
yeah. Chelsea was a shit show. They didn't like people. You know, people love to hate on Americans and America and stuff over there. He wasn't the issue. You could tell he was always a marketing ploy for Chelsea, it seemed like all the stuff they made him do and the thing and we all know Christian Pulisic is a pretty reserved guy. Like, you know, you saw like all the stuff they had him as like Captain America and all this
Yeah,
other things and they put and it's like it was like it seemed like he was always just like a marketing piece for him. The whole place was a shit show. They thought they could just throw money at everybody and things would come. Now look at the shit how much money they're losing with Lukaku and like you said Kai Havertz and Pulisic, and I mean countless other people I can't even think of at the top of my head. And it was terrible. And he went from playing so well
and out of all the
at
and out of
Dortmund.
all the top teams, like they performed the worst this year. I mean, they were
Oh
what, bottom
yeah,
half? I mean, it's horrible. So I
yeah.
mean,
And
some
he
of
went
that you got
from
to think
playing
with the talent they have that's just some of it has to be down. Well, most of it has to be down to Chelsea.
yeah, and he went from playing so well at Dortmund and getting that big transfer over to Chelsea, and then Chelsea just dropping the ball. Chelsea, you know, they won the Champions League. He had the goal scoring goal, he had the game winning goal. But he needed to go to a place where he's getting regular starting time. At the end of the day, look, I get he's not the best winger in the world, and people like to downplay him on all this stuff. But like at the end of the day, he's still a top tier player who can play at a top 5 Champions League style team in at his right now. Like he's a Champions League player at the moment, and I think that he should go to a team that's going to compete. I'm glad he left the Prem. I think he needed to leave the Prem. I
Yeah, I
think
agree.
he was always going to have that stigma. Um, he was always just going to have I think if he plays well at AC Milan, he could potentially make a comeback to the Premier League, but I think it was in his best interest to leave the Premier League. I think Serie A is a good league for him. I think it's going to be a league that fits his play style. It's a competitive league, and he's also joining a team who was in the semifinals for the Champions League. He's actually going to get to play. He's going to get most likely he's going to start. Let's be real. He's most likely he's going to start. But what is going to be really interesting for him is that he's not. It sounds like he's going to be playing the 10, and I think he's even openly said he wants to play the 10. I personally don't think he's a 10. I think he's a winger. He's more of an inverted winger. So I'm curious to see how they line that up. AC Milan saying that they want him at the 10 position. He's okay with that. He approved that. He wants to go to AC Milan to play that position. I think it's a little odd because, yeah, he's always played at least as of recently, he's been playing the wing a lot. He plays wing for the US. I am a little surprised that he's going to AC Milan to play the 10 because currently AC Milan's wingers, they're not really going anywhere. They're going to stay where they are. So really interesting to see how he ends up lining up once the season
Yeah,
start. But I think
definitely.
he's kind of a must start player. And I'm curious to see if he does start playing well at the 10, how is that going to work out for Team USA? Like as somebody he's
Hmm.
historically
It's a
always
good
played the
point.
wing. Gio Reyna's been playing the 10. He's been the natural 10 for the US. Also, too, with Berhalter back, Berhalter loves the 4-3-3, even though the team doesn't fit the profile of a 4-3-3. Um, I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting, but all in all, I think it's a great move for him. I think like I said, he desperately needed to leave Chelsea. Chelsea was terrible. Um, they don't even have a fucking coach right now. And I think in general, just for his like mental, he needed to leave the Premier League. He
Yeah.
needed even like I know there was talks of him potentially going to like Barcelona or something like that. I thought possibly La Liga could fit him well as Serie A, but I think AC Milan's going to be a good league for him. But yeah,
Well, that's a good little segue into our last transfer rumor. Well, this one is a rumor. Um,
a
because another
drama. I
player
was gonna
who wants to leave the Premier League is Harry Kane. He has made it clear that he wants to go to Bayern Munich. Bayern have made
Bayern's spending money
multiple
right now.
they have made multiple very high offers, but Tottenham are very firm. They are saying, "No, we will not let him go for at least, 100." I think it's the price they're asking for is like 120 million,
This is
which for someone
ridiculous
over the age of 30 is ridiculous. So basically
and
they're
hasn't
saying
played super well either.
so the question is here because Tottenham apparently do not need the money. Are they willing to say to Harry Kane, "Screw you, stay here for another year. We're not going to sell you"? Or are they gonna relent and just say, "All right, fine, here you go"? Because that's the only question I have is really, that's the story. Is it gonna happen? I don't think it's gonna happen at this point. I think it's stalled. I think Bayern are smart enough to know not to spend that kind of money on fucking Harry Kane, even though I think it would be great for them. I think maybe it would be a great short-term thing. They could even win a Champions League, with adding someone like Harry Kane. I really think so. But do they want to pay that much money to guarantee like 1 or 2 years of success and that's it? Because everything else is not a guarantee. I don't think Bayern are going to do that um, unless Kane like actually really is like demanding that he go for a fair price. So I don't think it's going to happen. What do you think?
First off, yeah, the $100 million price tag is fucking insane.
It's
Harry Kane
ridiculous.
is not worth
It's a,
$120 million. He's not.
it's
I
not a
don't
like
think he was. To be honest, I don't
let's
think he was ever worth that price. I
no,
don't think
but
he's ever
But
been
let's
worth
be
that
honest, that's
price.
not really his price. That's Tottenham saying, "Fuck you, we're not selling him."
No, no,
Right?
yeah, I
Because
know,
they don't
yeah,
need the money. They know they're not gonna spend that. That's like in Football Manager when you just know, like, you're like, "You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna put 200 million and let's see what they do." And if they accept it, I'll be happy. And if not, then they're idiots or whatever. Or, whatever. No big deal. Like if they accept it, I'm happy and they're idiots. If not, then whatever. But
no, yeah, and Byron
so yeah,
Byron's spending
I think it's a
like big
fuck
money
you.
too.
It's a fuck
Byron's
you.
spending.
Not necessarily this is what we think he's worth. Um, but the question is, do you think Kane's gonna force it, or do you think it's just gonna kind of teeter out, and Kane's gonna stay another year at Tottenham?
Yeah, Bayern is clearly going for a Champions League title. Like they've been spending big money this transfer, and obviously they're willing to spend big money for Harry Kane. Um, I I think that yeah, they're kind of in need of like a true striker at the moment, of like or at least a star striker. Let's say that a star striker. Harry Kane kind of fits that bill, especially a guy who's a veteran and a guy who wants to win.
Yeah,
And clearly Tottenham have him trapped. I feel
and
like in situations like this,
he
it
wants to get
always
some
seems
silverware
like
before he retires. I mean, I'm not
mm,
trying to listen. I'm not trying to diss on. I get it. People are like, oh, fucking Arsenal fan, of course. He hasn't won shit. What does he want? A Carabao Cup? Whoop de fucking do. They haven't
yeah.
won shit.
Yeah, and I think
He wants to
in a
win.
lot of these situations, it
They went
always
back. They
seems
took a step
like
back this year. I mean, teams like Arsenal are jumping ahead and destroying them both home and away. They're not. They were in the Champions League final a couple years ago. That's not happening anymore. They're just taking a step back. So like, what is Harry Kane gonna do? And he's the one who's carrying them. If he wasn't there this season, they would have been, struggling for relegation. Like he really did save their ass. Did not have a great year this year. So I think that's part of it. Tottenham are just like they really know that like he's kind of irreplaceable for them. I think that's part of it. That's why I
well,
don't
it
think he's
doesn't make
leaving. So what do you think like is gonna happen with this?
I'm trying to get there, Adam. I'm trying
I know
to
because I'm confusing myself with this because now I'm starting to think like now I really don't think it's gonna happen the more we talk about it.
I think usually in situations like this, it almost always feels like a lot of the times the player gets their way. And I think eventually, I think Bayern might make a refute, like an offer that they're just like, look, I know we're not going to get the $120 million offer, but if Bayern gives them like an $85 million like price tag, how can you realistically be Tottenham and be like, no? Like I genuinely like, as much as you want to keep him, dude, with $80 million, you can bring in a younger, more youthful guy who can be just as productive as Harry Kane is. And almost I'm at the point where Bayern, it's like, man, realistically, how bad do you really want him? Like you can get somebody else. But I do always feel like the player tends to just work his way out of it. And very rarely do I feel like you ever see a player get stuck, and I might be wrong here, but it just always seems like I don't know exactly how often it happens and when it doesn't, but I just to me, my sensation, it feels like a lot of the times the player is usually able to get out, and I don't know how it's going to work out, how it's going to happen. I just have a feeling that Kane might figure a way to get himself out. If not this
Yeah, I
summer,
would think that if he really wants to go, then he's
potentially in
gonna
the
go.
winter,
Yeah.
because it's like
The
I don't know
writing's on
how
the wall at this
common.
point.
You might know better than me. I don't know how common like holding out is
It's not
in
very
like
common. It's
Premier
definitely
League.
not very I mean, it's not unheard of.
Yeah,
Um,
he
it's
could
not
be a type
unheard
of
of.
guy where like potentially if he really doesn't like it. I mean, Tom's playing hardball. If he holds out, like then that's really going to suck for them because I think Harry Kane can play hardball himself, and who's the one that's really gonna get fucked over is gonna be Tottenham, because at the end of the day, Kane is gonna make his money regardless.
Yeah.
He just wants to go to a winning team. Tottenham is gonna be the one that gets fucked when they lose a player, whether they decide to keep him or not. Granted, Kane doesn't seem like the type of person who would hold out. He seems like he would play. Um, I think regardless, if he doesn't get sold this summer, it might be in the winter. I think eventually you're gonna see Tottenham's not gonna push for no championship this year in anything. So, I mean, did they make Champions League or are they in
No,
Europa League?
they didn't make Champions League.
Are they in
Um,
Europa?
now I gotta check. I think they are.
Moment of silence. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just have this sensation that he's going to get out of
Oh,
there. I have no reason to think that way,
they're
but
in the Conference League.
yeah, I mean,
Even worse.
I just feel like if you're Tottenham, you're eventually going to get to the point where it's like, come on, man, we're never going to get this much money for him. Eventually, he's just going to teeter out and we just lose all that. Like, this
Yeah.
is going to be your last chance to really make money off Kane. You got to take it. I feel like. So that's part of the reason why I think he might
Yeah.
leave. I think
So if it
eventually
was
they're going to
you,
get an offer they just can't refuse.
so if it was you, you would do it, but so you think he's gonna leave?
I think it's going to happen. I think eventually Bayern's just going to say fuck it and just give him a lot of money. It's not going to be their asking price, but Tottenham can't be that fucking stupid. Like
Yeah.
they actually they didn't qualify for anything. They're not even in Conference League. Aston Villa got Conference
I
League.
guess wow.
They got
So they
eighth
didn't get
place.
shit.
Yeah, so they didn't get shit. So yeah,
Even worse.
I think eventually I think there's gonna be two things. I think usually players tend to find a way out. I think he has the leverage where he can be like, I'm just not gonna play then. And I think also too, Tom's just gonna be like, man, are we really gonna miss out on this much money? Like this is gonna be a ton of fucking money. When was the last time Tottenham sold anybody that was like of that even close to that much? I mean, at the end of the day,
I
Kane is an aging star. I mean, he's
I don't
getting older.
know.
What is he? 29, 30 now? Like
He's over 30
he's over 30. It's like, dude, you gotta get that money while you can.
or he's
If you're a Tottenham
29.
fan,
He's
it,
29. He's turning 30 in 2 weeks.
and if you're a Tottenham fan, like, what do you want? Would you rather see Kane gone and get the money, or would you rather him stay? I feel like a lot
It's a
of fans
tough
might
one for
want him to
them.
stay,
It's a tough
but
one because I think
I
it,
would
it
also be like, man, that's 80 million or whatever it is, 70 million.
they need
That
to
can get
spend
you
it.
a lot of
They
money for
need to
somebody
spend it
else.
immediately and on someone who could score goals because they're gonna be lacking them this year if they let him go. So that's gonna be interesting. We're gonna have to take a look, see where that ends up. But I don't think he's gonna be let go for that reason. Um, my camera's
But
having
yeah.
fun.
But anyways,
I'm not even gonna bother
yeah,
fucking fixing it right now. I'm really
yeah,
not.
we're
It's
gonna
the end.
end it.
I
We're gonna
just
end it there. I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. We've been seeing the growth in the show. It's been awesome to see how well it's doing. A lot of our clips and stuff are doing well. A lot of people commenting and subscribing. It's awesome. We're going to try to do a better job of staying a little bit more consistent between both podcasts. And also, if you guys are interested in talking about U.S. sports cycle, go check out Real Fans podcast. That's going to be our more American sports base. obviously, more football, NBA, baseball. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for supporting us. And if you're a new viewer, thanks for listening all the way to the end. That's pretty awesome to think that you're still here an hour and a half.
Yep.
If you are, leave like a cool emoji. I don't know. But yeah, check us out on all our social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast. But yeah, we will see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.